Kata is a really interesting training process, and Kata is something that comes later. It's not in the early development of any fighting art. What you have is a fighting art where somebody says, how do I defend against this movement or that movement, or somebody attacked me, what can I do, what can I train? So we develop a number of sequences to perhaps train how to defend yourself, like a boxer does. You know, you've got these combinations that they learn, and then they learn to put those together into some sort of training process. And Kata is an evolution of this, where we have sequencing that they fit together to allow you to learn how to fight. That was the original idea, or one of the original ideas behind Kata. So in Kata, when we're training, we have a level of perfection we've got to reach. Stance, you know, good, deep, held, strong, feet flat on the ground, good position, shoulders, body, all of these things you've got to come across. And that's one of the first things. You learn the sequence and then you try and perfect the movements. And then somebody comes up and says, but do you know what they mean? And we call this bunkai. The bunkai is the application techniques. Application techniques are incredibly useful, but they're also very formalized. So somebody attacks you like this, and you bring this up, and there's the kata, and this is how it works, and you can see that, and everybody goes, wow, that's great! But I had a wonderful instructor by the name of Tom Grogan, who was one of my great mentors in London, and he was an Iaido instructor, Japanese sword work. And I remember asking him, what does this move mean? And he looked at me, puzzled, and said, it depends on what your opponent's doing. And I thought that was the first time I'd been introduced to that. Very interesting. So, bunkai doesn't work unless you've got a perfect situation. And a lot of application drills rely on somebody stepping in a formal way. So, to take that out of context, what I want to do is I want to do application drills for sparring, for kumite. Take kata, in this case Bassai Dai, and we're going to work on some kumite drills from it. Things that you can use in your sparring. Because all training is metaphor. It's a way of learning something, a way of learning process. Once you've got the process, you can apply it in lots of different ways. So, kata as a metaphor leads us to understand some movements. How are those movements useful? How can I apply those in training? So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to take the kata and we're going to look at some training drills that are useful within this. Make sense? I was never taught this stuff early on. They never ever did it. There was kata, there was sparring, and there was bunkai on basics. But nobody ever tried to put them together. And I found that really irritating. Okay? You've got your partners from here. I'm going to demonstrate first movement of the kata. From here, I'm going to demonstrate slowly and easily. You guys have got a version that you do for Shito-ryu, that's great. Keep it that way. I'm just going to show you the Shokan form. I don't want to train it tonight, it's not important. But from here, the first movement fundamentally is this movement. Okay? From here to here. Okay? Nice and deep, nice and strong. Got to find a place to start with application drills, and a good place to start is gyaku. Okay? The reverse punch, so right gyaku. There's your right reverse punch. So when we're working with these sorts of things, fundamentally we're working on defensive technique, which is a counter, some sort of counter technique. So it's after he's struck. Your offensive techniques, kizami gyaku, you know, these sorts of techniques that you're using are a whole different kettle of fish. Bunkai application drills, kumite application are based after something. We could just as easily start with the other hand or a front kick, but ultimately we're picking one place to start. So the gyaku comes through. There's your reverse. What we're going to do from here is, as it comes through, I'm going to move in. My idea from here is to change and push. You can see the kata here. I'm breaking it a little bit now. As it comes through, it's there. It's an offensive, defensive technique. He's coming in, he doesn't expect me to move forwards, and his balance is not there. I'm pulling the back leg up because it allows me, firstly, from here, and changing, but there's no power here. The power is in bringing the back leg through. Where's my weight in? So, in the kumite exercise here, it's this. As you comes through, it's this. It becomes this idea. Okay? Good. More formal, more kumite. Here, this way. Okay? Good. Okay, so remember when you're doing this, the actual technique is not to go out and in, it's to go straight. The kata is straight. It's this way, straight. You want to get him to the point where his arm has crossed his body over and his balance is gone. If you go out and in, you can't do that. Here. And it's not fast enough. You need to go straight through to the target. I want you to just show you another few things. Remember, my understanding and my application here is as part of the idea that kata is a metaphor. Alright, there are many ways to train and all of them are correct. The kata should be true, the bunkai should be correct and precise, the position of the kata should be true and correct. All of that stuff is correct. But for the purpose of today, what I'm trying to get to is the idea, what could it possibly give us through training the kata? Okay, so with the gyakuziki from here, there's one more thing. I blocked it and I'm stepping to here as I move in. I'm crossing my feet over. For power, I'm coming to here. So if you watch Sensei Gary from here, I block the technique and I can take that leg out easily. Okay, so what we have is our ability, because we've positioned ourselves, here, foot comes out, and there's your ashibarai. So instantly the kata itself creates something. And once again, I'm just stepping out of the bounds of normal kumite to say, what else could we gain from it? Here, straight line, off balance, there's your sweep, there's your technique. Okay? Sure. Simple stuff. Have a go.